bastards! Today I want to talk about how to stay dry in a survival situation, perhaps, but also for a bug out, and even perhaps when you go around during a bug in. Why? Yeah, I know what most people will think. Why are we making a video about such a stupid subject? It's so obvious. Just put on a raincoat and you'll be fine. Well, yeah, of course you can do that, but it's not always that easy, to be honest. Because during, like example, a bug out, you will be a long time outside. It can be raining for days. If you have bad luck, you can walk through high grass that is always wet because of dew or rain. So yeah, keeping dry is an essential thing about survival. It will stop for making your clothes heavy. It will stop you from getting hypothermia, and yeah, and all the things that goes by with it. It will be better for your clothing. So today I'm going to talk about several ways to keep yourself dry in such survival situations. Like you can see, I'm wearing a poncho right now. Why? Because I left my bike somewhere, and I went and after it by foot. But it's going to raining all day, and it has been raining all day because of a storm recently. Yesterday, I mean. And yeah, so I went by foot and testing my gear out to see how dry I can stay. And yeah, I learned something from it. When I usually wear this poncho in the when I'm going hiking in the woods, but there's a big difference between hiking in the woods and hiking just on the countryside of Belgium, and that is wind. The wind, you're in more open, so this poncho can go all the ways, and it will make some places vulnerable for rain. So that's something you need to watch out for. All right, let's start from the beginning. Actually, like you can see, this is just a army rain poncho, which is something I always carry. I always put it one in my saddlebag of my bike, and also in my car for when I need to do when I ride somewhere. I need to go outside, out of the car, and it's been raining. So that way you always have a way to keep dry from the rain. Yeah, it sounds obvious, but not many people think about it when they go with their bike, especially in summertime, when you do not have that much clothing. You go to your work or somewhere else with your bike. You think it's sunny day, but then suddenly the weather can change and it can start to rain unexpectedly. Could always happen. So always be prepared and have a rain poncho in your car, in your bike, like a saddle test of your bike. And also, yeah, you cannot perhaps see, but I have my EDC bag, shoulder bag underneath this. And in my EDC bag, I always carry emergency poncho, which I showed once in a video, but I'm not going to take it out now. It's just a small package that's for something that you can use as a disposable, or fold it up again and put it back in a tiny container, which is always handy for when you're caught in the rain by some reason. Alright, so you have your rain poncho. We go from the top to down. The first thing I want to notice is, if you can perhaps see, I'm wearing a cap, or if I wear a hoodie, a rain poncho. Why? For this reason, actually. When you put a hood on from the rain cap, and you need you want to cross the street, or you want to look around, it's very difficult if you don't have a cap, because this thing will stay on its place. Your head will turn, and the hood of the poncho will stay in place. So you have a very limited perspective and view that you can see. So that's where the cap comes in handy. The cap will make the poncho above turn together with your head. So I want to go look to the left, and now I can see to the left the poncho goes with the front of the cap together with this. So that's a safer way, especially in a bug-out situation where it can be raining a long time, but you still need to keep watch of your surroundings. So if you're gonna bug out and it's going to rain, always use a cap so you can have a broader view and perspective around you for awareness and to look for dangers, especially when you're crossing the street for dangerous drivers. So a cap, very important. Next thing, I like the rain poncho for several reasons. Because first of all, people would say, why do you not just take a raincoat? This looks clumsy. It's perhaps clumsy, but it's multifunctional actually, and that is what I'm always about over fashion, to be honest. This rain poncho has several benefits to a raincoat, let's say. First of all, keep me dry, obvious. Second, I always use for a neutral color. What does that mean? That's a color that will be less noticeable. I know this is camouflage. This is my rain poncho for hiking. So if I want to stay low, I use this rain poncho to be less visible for people who might not be liking where I'm going on private property, perhaps, so, or such things, or in a survival situation or bug out. You don't want to be noticed that immediately. So camouflage colors can be handy if you're on the countryside. If you're going more in city or villages, or you just want to be all over neutral, have neutral colors like gray, dark blue, something dark that doesn't fit, that you cannot see from far away. If you want to be noticed, like in a bug out, and you want to be perhaps be found by rescue crews, you can just put a very colorful color on of your poncho, like orange, red, I don't know, light blue. Depends on the situation or what are you planning for. So next thing, the poncho is white, but the benefit of it is I can now put this over my EDC. You can perhaps see it. You will see it in a moment. My EDC bag, and even when I was hiking, when I was wearing my big hiking bag. How do you say this? Yeah, my hiking bag. I could put the poncho around it and still be totally dry. So that's also a benefit against just a raincoat. So your bag doesn't get wet, or you don't have to put a cover on your hiking bag. So that's also good. A third thing is you can use this as a makeshift shelter. You can use it to make a makeshift roof during when you're resting or going to sleep during a hike. You can use it when you're hiking or on a bug out, late on the ground that is perhaps dirty or wet. So you can sit on it without getting yourself wet and like a protective layer from the ground that could be dirty or wet. That's also a benefit from this. Another benefit is you can use this to collect rainwater or rainwater for during a bug out. So you can collect a lot of drinkable, potable water without the need for filtering it. Is what I'm trying to say. Now you see I wear this funny glove. You saw this in my previous videos perhaps. This is one of those Swiss army gloves. These are really waterproof. And these are very long, like you say, they come to here. So together with the rain poncho, my whole arm and hand is dry. So this is very handy for when you're going to use a rain poncho on a bike or a bicycle. So when you're driving, your arms don't get wet, your hands, and it can be sometimes cold in the rain. So that's very handy. Another thing, instead of if you don't want to wear a cap, you can also use a balaclava, as you can see, for when it's getting cold, because you might not get wet, but it can still be cold from wind, especially when the wind comes in front. The wind will blow inside of your poncho, the hood, and will perhaps go to your neck. You don't want to get sick by that or get sore muscles. So a balaclava over your head can protect your neck and your face against cold wind that goes directly in your balaclava. And make sure that it is made of wool, so if there is rain in your face or perhaps falling from the sides into your face and you wear a balaclava, wool will keep your face, will keep an insulating layer and even will even work when it gets wet. So a woolen balaclava is very handy when you wear a poncho like this. Yeah, I'm going to show it this way. Another thing I'm wearing right now is, if you perhaps can see, this is a gaiter. This is something very handy for especially when you're walking along wet grass. If you get grass like till this height and you're walking, you don't want that area to get wet, so it goes into your socks, and that will make walking very much annoying, harder, and perhaps can even make your feet cold. So you don't want that. So I always have gaiters when you're going to hike in natural areas or countryside, because yeah, like I said, long grass can be very annoying. My legs are now very dry. The only thing I want to notice about this is these are smaller gaiters, so the area between this and this, when I'm just walking and the wind is blowing a little bit, the problem is my knees are wet now. But during my walking is just my walking not a long time ago, I walked through full rain for an hour, and in all this time the only area that is wet is this part around my knee. That's the only thing that is wet right now. Everything else is dry. So that's a very good test for the poncho. Yeah, another thing I want to notice is shoes. It's very important that you have good shoes that will not leak. So I would suggest some hiking boots if you want for survival situations, and if it's just for everyday use, just have good shoes that are not too flat. So when you step into a puddle, that if you got low soles, that it doesn't slurp up the water inside of your shoe and you will get your feet wet. You don't want that. You can protect your shoes with perhaps wax or one of those sprays that will make it water resistant. Yeah, those are perhaps ideal for your shoes. I use this and my feet are now dry, which I very like, and it's a good test from this water resistant spray that I use on this. So that's another way to stay dry. Perhaps another idea instead of gaiters is to wear one of those rain pants. These are some made of the same fabric as the rain poncho, but like in pant form, that is way bigger, so you can put your feet with your shoes through it and just put it over and you'll be dry. This is perhaps more handy when you, instead of gaiters, when you're on a bicycle, because when you're on a bicycle and you ride, and you know the poncho will get a little bit up. If it's windy, it will fly all around. So this area will probably get wet around your legs. So perhaps a waterproof rain pants is very handy in that sort of situation during a bug out, everyday work, traffic. Who knows? It's very handy just to think about and make your day a little bit more drier and more pleasant. Alright, I will take this off right now. Another thing about the rain poncho, instead of let's say raincoat, is it can be very compact. Like you can see, I will fold this right up. One more time. And then just roll it up like this. Oh. And then just put it in the hood itself. And it's nothing bigger than what you just saw. So that could be very handy. A little point to make, if you're going to roll this up after using it, let it dry first, put it on a chair, let the water let out, because if you roll it up, it's waterproof. So the water will stay inside, so you don't want that. After it gets wet, just put it on a chair or a branch and let it just dry. Alright, another thing, like you can see beneath it, it's still dry because I wear the rain poncho, but it's just for an idea. If you got a raincoat, there are several ways you can make it more efficient. Even if it's one of the best raincoats you perhaps have, you got to be very carefully when you're going to buy a raincoat, because there are two kinds. There are raincoats that are waterproof. There are that are water resistant. There's a big difference between the two. Waterproof means it's really waterproof. It's made of a fabric. The outer layer is made of a fabric that cannot be penetrated by water. What is the downside of a waterproof? You would ask. Well, if you're getting sweaty, it's perhaps you're getting warm underneath it. There is damp. Then it cannot escape. So it will perhaps get wet from the inside. Is the disadvantage from waterproof raincoat. Then you have the second one, water resistance. What does this mean? It means that it's breathable material, but it's semi-waterproof. That means that there can be rain falling on it, it will not get wet. But if you keep walking around in rain for an hour, then the material will get eventually soaked in the pores, and it will get through and you will get wet from the inside. So it's like temporarily rainproof to say. What is the benefit of that? The opposite of waterproof. Like I just said, the damp from the inside can get out, and yeah, that's perhaps handy for short range situations. So, but in a survival situation, I would say try to go for waterproof, not only for just to stay dry, but also for other benefits, like I said, with the rain poncho. Yeah, so that's something you need to take in consideration when you're going to buy a raincoat. Perhaps you can buy a raincoat and one of those rain pants together, but the disadvantages, like you can see, your bag, your EDC bag or your hiking bag, they will need an additional cover to stay dry because they are above your raincoat. You can fix this by perhaps always have some sort of rolled up garbage bag with you, and that way you can put it around your hiking bag or your EDC bag just as an improvised rain cover. Some hiking bags do have their own rain covers, so depends on your situation. Just a tip, some tips that I just gave. Another few tips is your hands. Like you can see, these have one of those how do you say this, Velcro, so it can stay close. So my hands, if I'm on a bicycle, it will not get through the sleeves and will be absorbed to my regular clothing. So yeah, this could be very handy. Or if you have gloves, you can put it around it and make it more less likely that water can get through, instead of when you have like something big, a big hole like this where water and wind with water can be blown into. Another thing is the hood of this thing. I will take the cap off now. What you can do is just, yeah, I will perhaps show it with the cap. Could be handier. If you have a raincoat, just yet again, like I said before, have a cap, so if you look left or right, then the hood of the rain will go with it. But there are also other possibilities you can do, and that is have some metal wire, and you can try to make it how do you say this, with some clippers to the side of your hood, and that way you can if you perhaps can see, you can manipulate the hood. If you want to be very small, like Kenny from South Park, you can just press on the metal wires and do this, and your face will be more how do you say this, protected, and it moves with your face because of the metal wires that I connected with this. Or if you want a broader view, you can just put this open and manipulate it. Yeah, now you like you can see, I have the problem that if I look left or right, that this will stay on. So it depends on the situation, but you can change it very fast if you put some metal wires in this. So that's just a little tip you can do with your own. Just put it in through the fabric, perhaps like you would sew, or you can just put one of those clips and connect it to the side, to the rim of the hood, and with the metal wire. So that's also very handy. I will take this off right now. Like you can see, I wear my woolen sweater always, because yet again, this is the advantage for when it's raining very long or very hard. Even when there is a leak in my raincoat or my poncho, or by some other reason, I stay dry, and even when this gets wet, it will still be isolating and keeping me warm because it's made of wool, which is a very good fabric. Yeah, so. And now you can perhaps think about some improvised ways to stay dry. If you do not have a raincoat or a poncho, you can just improvise one. I know it will not look like you will win the fashion show, but in a survival situation, it's very important to stay dry. You can perhaps find some trash bags, garbage bags, and cut a hole in it, and put it over yourself like an improvised rain poncho. You can perhaps find some tarps, perhaps some big pieces of plastic that are laying around, and you can build those into an improvised rain poncho. Yeah, I know you will look horrible, but yeah, survival is above fashion. All right, so I think this is this is all what I can say about this subject. It's just something that came to mind because I was just walking through a long time through the rain today. So perhaps this might sound all obvious, but I hope it will give you some ideas, or at least to take in consideration that it's keeping dry is a very important part of survival, either of your bug in and your bug out, and even in everyday life. Just when in normal times. So don't underestimate the how do you say this, the fluids that will come from the sky, to say. And yeah, so subscribe if you, I would appreciate that. Like if you got other ideas for improvised ways to stay dry in a survival situation, like you can perhaps take branches with leaves or something and bundle them together and make an improvised poncho around your body, like they sometimes did in ancient Japan and older times in Japan, and not even recently, I guess. So those are all tips that I want to hear actually, and perhaps and other people can learn from it as well. Leave them in the reaction, subscribe, yeah, all that good stuff. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.